As a freelance writer and a marketing academic, I quite often get asked, how do I organize my work and life? And to that end, I've used a ton of tools over the years, but the one I always circle back to is Notion. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I use Notion to organize my freelance writing business. But before we get started, it's worth noting that I'm not sponsored or affiliated or anything like that with Notion, as much as I'd like to be, at the time of filming. It is a tool that I generally use on a day-to-day basis for multiple areas of my life. So without further ado, let's dive into Notion. So here is the homepage. It's also worth knowing that this is an anonymized template of my actual workspace, which you can see over here. Structurally, everything within the template is exactly the same as how I use it over here. I've just removed all of the sensitive data. As a side note, if you want a copy of this template, I will include a link in the description box below. But anyway, this is the homepage. And I originally designed this workspace to be a small agency because I thought for a long time that's what I was going to do to scale up my business, but eventually I decided against doing that. But either way, I still use this exact setup to run my business as a solo freelancer. I just think it helps me feel a bit more businessy, I guess, to have all these departments in my workspace. But anywho, over here we have the brand HQ. In my case, we have my legal business name, and in here we'll have mission, vision, values, anything new happening. In here, I would put things like conferences I might be going to, for example, and we have team meetings. Here, I don't use this section actually at all. I might get rid of it personally, but I also might need it should I need to record minute meetings for legal purposes. On the right, we also have key people. I like to keep this because I list myself as my company director. It's just something I like looking at. And below, we have this resource table. I use this table a bunch in my personal workspace, but essentially this is the everyone view. But in each team or department, I've created it so that it is filtered specifically to the business area. So let's go and take a look at these teams. In the marketing home, this is where I do my own sort of personal business marketing. So I've listed it as brand. So in this case, for me, it's Associate, but it's basically owned blog posts for your own personal website or guest posts for third-party websites, and backlink building, which is for things like contributing quotes to other people's blog posts, featuring as a guest on a podcast, for example, featuring as a guest on another person's YouTube channel. And as I said down here, we have the resources table filtered by everyone and marketing. So let's go back up here and we have the operations. This is where I go into the business finances. I've included contractor invoicing here in case you use subcontractors, but I don't because I work by myself. So I only use this client invoicing here. I've created the name, who wrote it, in this case me. I don't really need this, but I like seeing my picture here. I don't know why. And status, the type of work it was, who it was for, and whether or not the invoice has been sent, and the due date, which is based on the day I set the due date. If you download this template, you can change that 14 days, because that's how long I give on my invoices, but you might do something differently. So this is where you change the amount of time on your invoices. But back up to finances and operations home. The CRM is where you include details of your clients, your existing ones. And in leads, this is where I include cold outreach. I don't personally do much cold outreach, but it's worth having in case I do decide to do that at some point. But here is the web inquiries. This is where the data is populated from when somebody reaches out to me via my web form. I used to use Tally, and I'm looking into using Notion forms. I haven't got that yet. I may do, I just haven't looked into it. But either way, populate the data for website inquiries here. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough for me to include it. And let's go up to where I spend 90% of my time in this workspace, which is the content delivery space. And again, we have the resources, which includes everyone and the content delivery tag. But here we have the services I offer, which are content research, content strategy, and blog posts. And then this is the master database that filters all of this work. Let's click on that. So as you can see, we've got examples for like each task, which is given by the type over here. So we have the name of the task, who it's assigned to if you have more than one person working in your business, in which case, for me, it's just me. The status, so I've created statuses for not started, assigned, drafting, editing, ready for review, and this is for when I've sent it off to a client. And these are complete statuses, so ready to invoice, it just chucks it into my invoicing database up there. And paid, obviously, is when the invoices have been paid. Due date is pretty self-explanatory. And content brief, this is their link for like the Google Docs, for example, where the client has sent you the brief. An SEO report depends on which client I'm working with. Sometimes it's ClearScope, other times it's SEMrush. For my personal work, I use Ahrefs. And the client, and then again, the type. And if we go back to home and I click into, say, content strategy, for example, you'll see that this table is basically a filtered view of the content strategy tagged tasks. You can have these here if you work by yourself, but if you want to hide these, you can just hide, and then you only have to worry about those when it comes to invoicing time. But that is about it for this workspace. The only other tools I use to manage the back end of my business are Bonsai, which I use to create my client contracts, and Akiflow, which I use to manage my time on a daily basis. But this is my actual sort of task manager. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and if it was, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. My channel is quite new, but otherwise the template I used to show off in the video is available for free as a link in the description box below. I post videos every Monday, so until next week, ta-ta, see you around.